All right, share now. Let's share. Hi. In the event that you're just joining, start this video, share. Anyway, hi. Yay! It is January 19th, 2021. How has your year started, everybody? Who is here? Please say hello. We're gonna wait just a few seconds to see who jumps on, see how this goes. If you have any questions, definitely mention them. I'm looking for comments. I'm looking for loves or likes. Let me know you're here so that I know who I can thank and who I can interact with. And let's get this show on the road. All right, ToesDay, yay! I love ToesDay, you know I love ToesDay. Who has seen this map? Anybody seen that map before? I love this map. So, I don't know about you guys, but I have a tendency to get that lower back pain, that super lower back pain. So especially when I'm sitting for a long time and my back starts to get really tight. So I move around. Anyway, if I go down to this chart and I look on this chart and I look where the lumbar and the sacrum join, like right in that area, and then I pull it across to right in the middle, because that's where I feel it the most, is just right in the middle of my back. I'm talking about back pain, you guys. If I pull that across right in the middle, what we're talking about is where action happens, the heart chakra and the solar plexus chakra, where all of that shows up. I'm sorry, I was looking at it. Hey Tara, so glad you're here. Okay, so yeah, when I get that back pain, one of the things that it's just reminding me to do is to stay focused on my heart center and where that heart center and that solar plexus connect in order to get the things done that I need to get done in my day. Yay, so glad you're here. Okay. So one of the things that I love is talking about how pain shows up in our life. And the reason why I love talking about that is because we all have the ability to release whatever pain shows up. So when we have a headache, for example, one of the things that happens is maybe it's a stress band headache. Maybe it's a headache that goes up and over your head. Maybe it stems from the neck muscles. All of that connects to our feet and to our hands, by the way, in reflexology. So if we know where we can press as far as the trigger points for that, we can release it so quickly. Oh, yay, Cindy Rose, you found me. I was just about to pause for a minute and type and tag you in this video so that you were able to find me. So glad you're here. Okay, so anyway, so when it comes to pain and when it comes to releasing that pain, our body is an amazing thing, but our mind is there for a reason. Our mind is there to kind of guide us on that journey of what we know we can do to help, right? So when it comes to pain in our bodies, like neck pain, like headache pain, like back pain, we can release it all. It's so amazing. It's so cool. So I was just talking about my pain. What I often get that lower back pain right there in that lower area. And it's always in the middle of my body. If it were to one side or the other of my body, I would look to one side or the other, so whichever side it shows up on. So in my case, it is right around there. Believe it or not, if you looked at a reflexology map, that is where our intestines are in our body. And so we would So perhaps it would be my imagination that if you too suffer from lower back pain, you also have a tendency to suffer from indigestion or digestive challenges. So, hi Lisa, thank you for joining. So glad you're here. Yay! I love it when people join. It's so much more interactive, isn't it? All right, so let's talk a little bit about faith and trust. If there's another topic that you would love to talk about, I don't mind going off topic. So please let me know what you want to talk about and let me know how that shows up for you so that we can discuss it. So guess what? I found out this week that the reverse camera on a phone can be turned off. So hopefully, if you're seeing me the way I'm seeing me, it's all, ooh, I see that. Okay, Tara, stomach ulcers on my teen. Oh, yes, stress levels. So, definitely stress levels. So she has a tendency, maybe he. The teen has a tendency to have very, very high stress levels. So there's so many different ways to overcome stress. But the easiest way is to get some exercises, to get up and moving, to get off our duff, and to get those endorphins flying. Because when we have the brain chemistry that allows us to have the endorphins happening, that automatically triggers our immune system, and it also triggers us into a state of, that's right, I remember now. Thank you for the reminder. So she has high stress levels. So one of the ways that we can deal with that on the feet, let me show you on the feet where you can help with her, or really where she can go on the feet to help her relieve stomach ulcers or get the acid levels down. I'm getting a lot of, and I know you guys know that I'm not a doctor, so I just have to say that legally, blah, blah, blah. But I'm getting this idea that she has really high salt intake. So if she really likes chips and whatnot, you have to be careful about that. Watch that salt intake because that increases stomach acid levels, and that just exacerbates the challenges for her. So, but for on the feet, where you can go to touch the feet to relieve stomach ulcers or diminish stress levels, if you go to, somewhere between the big picture and the communication toe, but you go all the way, almost halfway down, okay? So she probably, if I were to guess, she probably also has, it might feel like she has a dagger between her shoulder blades on occasion. Maybe she gets this intense spasm of her back right between her shoulder blades. So, okay, I don't know if you guys know this, but metaphysically, when we have a stabbing sensation in our back, and specifically it's one that we cannot reach, the idea behind that is that we are stabbing ourselves in the back, literally. So just take a minute to, take that in, look at that, what that means. So where in her life and I don't know that she has back pain. That's not what you said she has. You said she has stomach ulcers, but there's something about that back pain that's showing up for me. So when you press right in the middle of that area, maybe a little bit lower than so if this is the middle, okay, that's where all of the organs of the body are. I'm going to show you what that looks like in this image right here, okay? So the hologram of the body on the feet shows up where the shoulders are right at where the toes meet the foot, and then the hips are right at where the heel is, okay? So if you would imagine that for a minute, your intestines are kind of on the lower quadrant of that. They're kind of right in that archway. So people that have like flat feet have a tendency to have bowels that lack juice, if you will. They may feel unsupported in their life. There's probably a little bit of tension in their relationships, okay? I know it seems ridiculous, but the way to fix that in the toe reading world anyway, is to add arch support to your shoes, or make sure that you're wearing shoes that have good arch support. And you can also, if my hands are, models of my feet, and the thumb is the big toe, okay? Where you can find that, so this is the bottom of my foot, where you can find that is right kind of in the middle of the arch. Okay, so if this is the arch, it's kind of right where that middle arch ends up. So guess what? It also is on the hands. So if you have somebody who's particularly sensitive about having their feet touched, or they don't want you to go there with your feet, you can also deal with it on the hands. And that is based on reflexology, okay? So if you're having trouble having bowel movements, or if you're having too frequent bowel movements, you can really you just kind of massage that area and go around. And one of the things that will do is it will disperse anything that's clogged or stuffed up. It will kind of thin it out. And it will also harden up anything that's too liquidy. It seems ridiculous, but it so works, you guys. You have to report back to me and tell me that it worked well for you. But when our gut, I think that this is pretty much all over the internet, but when our gut health is working fine, working well, showing up the way that it's supposed to show up, that means that our whole life kind of shows up the way that we want it to show up. It's nice and smooth. There's nothing too rough about it. There's nothing too loose about it. It just kind of exists. It's kind of a metaphor for our lives, really, the way that our bowel movements work. It's so crazy, but it's true. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about toe reading right now. So let's look at but thank you so much for that question. That was definitely interesting to talk about, and something that I don't generally talk about. Right or left hand? Good question, Cindy Rose. Really, it's both, okay? So the hologram of the body shows up where it's kind of split. So knowing that our intestines kind of go across, they crisscross back and forth over our belly area, it goes back and forth between the left foot and the right foot. And the left hand and the right hand. Hi, Rhiannon. Oh, yay, you're here too. Yay. This is so exciting. So glad you're here. Thank you for joining. Okay, so yeah, we were talking about how when we're using reflexology to massage any kind of intestinal or back pain challenges that we come across, one of the things that you want to do is really do it on both, okay? You want your body to stay nice and even in the way that it's holding on to whatever it is that it's holding on to. So if it's holding on to anything negative, especially, you want to help release it on both sides, okay? Plus, you're also giving your yin and your yang equal treatment, your equal devotion, equal energy. So you're keeping your chi, to go with all the words that are associated with yin, yang, and qi, that's the energy within us, to keep it flowing nice and smoothly, nice and graciously, and just keep it really peaceful and solid without, not solid, that's the wrong word, just flowing. Let's just say flowing in the right kind of way, right? Okay, so where was I with the toe reading? So what we're talking about this month is faith and trust, okay? So faith and trust shows up on our left foot, typically, and it shows up on our, yes, exactly. That's my husband acts as my administrator on occasion, so he's the Soul Heart Entertainment below. And he has a little poop emoji. So funny. Okay, but yes, our poop is so, so, so important. So on the left foot, the baby toe is all about our faith and trust. Now, I don't know about you guys, but for me, prosperity and abundance is directly linked with my faith and trust. If my faith and trust is lacking, my prosperity and abundance goes right out the window. It's like baby and bathwater all at the same time. You cannot have, for me, now you guys may experience this differently, so, you know, each of us experience life differently. But for me, if I don't have the faith and trust, my prosperity and abundance escapes me. It's way more difficult for me to get there. So one of the things that I do in order to have toes, so faith and trust and prosperity and abundance toes in the ideal world show up coming straight off the foot and show up where there's just the slightest bit of space between each of the toes, and the toenails are upright, okay? Where they're pointed to the heavens. And it's not a mistake that I say that. So if the universal energy or source energy comes from above, let's just imagine for a second that that's what it's all about. That's where we want the windows of our life experience, which is our nails. We want it pointed up to the heavens, okay? So when you have your feet flat on the floor, if your nails are pointed in any direction other than straight up, that's a sign that there's challenges that we need to overcome. Some of the things that we need to, that are holding us back from achieving all the fantasticness that we're here to achieve. Rhiannon, mine hides slightly and the nail turns out to the side. Okay, so that is actually the image. So perfect timing. Love, love, love that you shared that. So in my image, and hopefully for you, please let me know so that I know that my image is showing up correctly this time around. This foot is the left foot, sorry. This foot is the left foot. This foot is the right foot. Is that showing up the same way for you guys? For the right foot, okay, this is the right foot. That is prosperity and abundance, okay? For the left foot, that's faith and trust, okay? So where it might slightly hide underneath the relationship toe, and it might turn out a little bit. It might be looking a little too much to the future. What that looks like on this toe, for this toe, hopefully it's showing up correctly. What it's looking like for this toe is, I like that this toe is coming straight off the foot and that there's no real bulkiness to it. Where I think that most toes have a tendency to have some bulkiness to them. Let me find, if I can, my cat is sitting on my pictures right now, you guys. Oh, it's still backwards, hun? Oh, shoot. Gosh darn it. Anyway, all right, well, here's one that is, I know it's on the opposite side, but that's the left foot, and I know that it doesn't show up as the left foot, but it is. That's the left foot. But see how that image right there, that toenail or that toe is kind of hidden underneath the relationship toe. What that looks, turn it upside down. Yeah, there you go. Good idea, Cindy Rose. Love it. Okay, so does that look better? Does that maybe work? Okay, my cat was holding down my photos. Silly cat. Okay, so yeah, so when the toe hides like that, I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted. When the toe hides like that, what we're looking at is a little bit too much codependency on the relationship in our lives. And when we're allowing that relationship to drive our bus, if you will, to drive the cart that is our life. I use metaphors a lot. So the metaphor is that our life is the cart. We are the driver of that cart, and the horse is what carries us forward. So oftentimes you'll imagine that a cart driver might stick a pole out like a fishing pole and dangle a carrot in front of the horse, so that the carrot's here and the horse is just trying, and as the horse goes forward, so does the carrot, because it's on this line. It's not really something the horse can ever get to. So what that looks like on the toes is that you're putting your future speak out in front of the cart. Okay, so when the toe is turned over, like this toe is, let me show you. This is this toe. This toe is the left toe. The left toe right there. When that one is turned out and the toenail is facing outward, we're using languaging that puts our desires and wants in the future. Okay, so the way to curb that is to find a way to bring it to the present tense. Okay, so whenever, and I close my eyes because I don't know why I'm distracted. When we're in the present tense, when we speak in the present tense, miracles happen. We're able to bring things to us that we wouldn't otherwise be able to bring to us. So, for example, I might say something like, someday I'll get to X, Y, or Z. Someday I'll get to you know what, I'm going to use myself, because we all make these mistakes. So don't feel like anybody's, doing it right per se. The thing is that when you hear yourself make the mistake, and I use the word mistake very loosely, it's not a mistake. It's all exactly as it should be. The idea is that if we hear it and we catch ourselves, then we're supposed to be in this state of, aha, I'm noticing that I'm using future languaging here. And what I really want is to use present tense language here. So for example, I want to finish writing my book. I want to means that there's a lack somewhere. Something is lacking in my ability to do that in my own mind's eye, because it's not happening. If it were happening, I would say, I am writing my book right now. Does that make sense? So there's where, it's just the slightest language adjustment. And when we adjust that languaging, things happen way more fluidly, way more easily. So when it comes to faith and trust, one of the things that we want to focus on is, where is faith and trust showing up in a negative way? So where are you not trusting? And how can you adjust that perspective? So looking through rose-colored glasses, it keeps coming to my mind. So there must be a reason why I'm thinking that thought. When we think about wearing rose-colored glasses, the fear in wearing rose-colored glasses is we won't see things for the reality or the truth that they are, right? The idea of rose-colored glasses is that we're essentially fogging out the negative and only seeing the positive. Does that make sense? So, Cindy Rose, you said, is it my intention? It can be. It can be an intention behind the desired effect. So if you let's say we've been burned and burned and burned and burned by people in our lives, and having trust is really scary for us. It's really difficult. It might be challenging. It might feel like a huge mountain that we have to climb in order to get to a place of peace around being able to trust somebody. It can happen where the mountain literally, so the image is coming to me. Did everybody see the movie Up? Disney's movie Up, where the little boy was coming home from seeing one of his favorite movies where his mentor, who was a big adventure person, or his idol, it wasn't really his mentor, was it? It was more like his idol, was a big adventure person. And he was walking home from this great adventure movie and he was talking himself through it. And when he jumped over from one panel of pavement to another panel of pavement, there's that crease between the two panels of pavement, right? And he, in his description, said, and he jumped over the Grand Canyon, or whatever it was that he said. I don't know. I'm probably misquoting it, but you get the idea. He's jumping over Grand Canyon, and he literally like jumped over this crack in the pavement. But it was great because that metaphor is kind of what I'm talking about when it comes to where our intentions do affect the reality of what we experience in life. Because when we have that past hurt that we carry with us as a badge of courage, or as a you won't do this to me again, or as a protective armor, whatever it is, we set an unconscious intention that we cannot trust somebody, and therefore they aren't trustworthy. They can't be, because we're putting that out into the universe that they aren't trustworthy. Okay, stick with me here, because sometimes this law of attraction stuff is really hard to wrap our heads around, but it's a genuine thing that it's so important. It's so important. I can't stress how important it is. Okay. So when our intention aligns with what we want and desire, it's instantaneous how fast the attraction happens, how fast it comes to us. It's like the second you give up looking for your keys that you can't find your keys. You've decided that you can't find your keys. So there's an unconscious intention that you can't find your keys. So universe is like, she can't find her keys but her keys are right there, but she can't find them because she's put that intention out there of she can't find them. And then all of a sudden we finally say, fine, I'm not even gonna look for the keys anymore. And all of a sudden they appear before us. I mean, that happens to everybody. I don't know anybody that hasn't happened to, whether it's keys or, I don't know, a retainer or our glasses or whatever it is that we're looking for. We're like in this intense fight with ourselves around being able to find it or not seeing it or whatever, because that subconscious intention is that we are not going to be able to find it. So if we have a subconscious intention around, let's say, bringing to us our perfect mate or things like that, where it will show up in our lives is it will just be like, I kind of feel like there was lyrics from a song, and I'm trying to remember the name of the group. It was an 80s group, kind of a dark. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who wrote the lyrics. But in the lyrics, it said, I think that God has a sixth sense of humor. And when I die, I expect to find him laughing, right? Not to be morbid or whatever, but I think that there's a little bit of a sixth sense of humor going on, because we may desperately want that significant other to show up in our lives, or we may desperately want the person that we do have to be different or to show up the way that we want them to show up. But if our subconscious intention is to not trust that to happen, then they're going to keep, or they're going to have challenges in being able to find it, because the universal energy is saying, well, you're not ready. If your intention is to not trust that that person is there, or if your intention is to not have faith that they'll show up and they'll appear in your life, then universe is like, well, you're not ready yet, so I'll wait until you're ready. And then when we kind of give up on it and we say, never mind, I'm not even going to focus on this anymore, what we're doing is we're dropping that intense emotion around it, that it's not working. And so all of a sudden it works. It's like magic, right? So that's what I mean by we're climbing this hill to get what we want, and it always feels like we're climbing, we're struggling. That's that subconscious belief system affecting us. So I hope that answered your question, Cindy Rose. Super detailed answer to your question. Let me see what Rhiannon said. It says, what does it mean if your toe is facing up, but your nail grows out and toward the right? Okay, so when our nails point outside of us, that as is, and by the way, all of these images that I show you, whether they're this image, whether it's that solar plexus image, all of the images are in the files folder on this Soul Heart Entertainment page. But so what it means is that our future stories show up, hopefully, that may be, you may not be able to see that correctly. But what that means is that our future stories that we believe must be, that we believe we must wait for something. So it's kind of like, I know, Rhiannon, I'm going to say Michelle, because I know that you know kind of a little bit about the way that she teaches. Oh, you're very, very welcome, Cindy Rose. So glad that you made it today. If you have to go, I totally understand. I know you're 3 hours behind us. But for Rhiannon, one of the things that Michelle says quite often is that we can timeline hop, okay? What that means to me in my world is that we can collapse that idea in our subconscious mind around how long something will take, okay? So in my mind's eye, it's gonna take a certain amount of time to earn $1 million, right? I mean, we kind of all have it ingrained into who we are and how we show up, that it's gonna take time to do that. But the reality is, if we believed it in every fiber of our being, at the soul level, connected to source, that we embody, we have everything that we need in order to have $1 million today, it literally will show up today. So that time that we put is our own personal constraint on what it looks like. So when the reason why I mention that is because when we have a nail that's pointed to the outside of us, that just means that we're putting that time constraint on what it looks like for us. So where can you shift your idea or your subconscious belief system around how much time it's going to take to have faith and trust, how much time it's going to take to earn a living, how much time it's going to take to, feel good about your relationships in your life or whatever. I mean, I'm just using those as an example of what that means. So when that finger is or that nail is pointed out, it just means that we're really caught in the future or the belief that it's going to take time. Okay. So just start noticing the way that you're speaking about whatever it is that you want to manifest in your life. If you want to manifest money, Start noticing how you're speaking about money. So that subconscious belief system will align with what you actually want, as opposed to with that subconscious belief that you have to wait for it. Does that make sense? So if I want somebody to pay me to write my book, like curving to the right, like curving to the right. So I'm gonna pull up an image, and well, I'm gonna pull up this image because it has a left foot. So if this is the left foot, well, that's not really a good example, is it? Here we go. Here's a good example. I think this is a good example. So when the left toe is curved to the right, it's facing outward. It's facing the outside of you. Is that what you're saying? It's curving to the right because it's facing outside of the foot? Or is it facing the big toe in the foot? Because when it gets tucked up under the toe, kind of like this one, a little bit like this one, when it's tucked up underneath that toe, the toe itself can curve toward the big toe, but the nail is almost always still pointed out. Does that make sense? Is that what you're talking about, Rhiannon? The toe doesn't face out, it's straight. Oh, okay. Pointed up to the sky, but the nail curves to the right. Ooh, very cool. Okay, I think I know exactly what you're talking about. So if the toe faces up and the nail starts out by being straight up, but then sort of starts to curve, is that so? It's like it's kind of doing the dive of a roller coaster, right? Does that sound about accurate? If that's accurate, what that means is that you were born with a whole lot. And I assume we're talking about your faith and trust toe. I assume you're talking, it doesn't curve down just to the right. Okay. So I assume you're talking about your left foot. I assume you're talking about your left baby toe, which is it curves toward the big toe. Okay, it curves to the right. I'm following you now. Okay, so what that typically means is that there's maybe too much focus on the past then. Okay, so where when it faces outside of us, it's focused on the future. When it points toward the big toe, it's focused on the past. So I think that you can take that ball and run with it, but let me give you an idea of what to do as far as physically helping that toe to shift, okay? Our thoughts, feelings, and emotions show up the way that our toes do. So the reality is that our thoughts, feelings, and emotions are the only things that will change the shape of our toes. However, generally speaking, when we physically handle whatever it is, our fingers, our back, when somebody gives you a massage, when we show up and we massage our feet, whatever it is, that will help adjust the physical nature of the muscles and tendons and nail that's used to being a certain way. So as long as our thoughts and feelings and emotions are in alignment with what we're trying to physically create, it will physically change very quickly. Does that make sense? So for a toenail where you're focused on the past, maybe there was something that happened, maybe somebody gambled something away, maybe there's lack of faith and trust in I always feel like it's relationship for you. I don't know why, but when our focus, okay, so the toenails, or all nails really, are the windows to the the life that we're talking about, okay? So they're what we see out of. If we want to use that metaphor, they're the windows. The toenails are the windows to that toe's meaning. So in this case, the toenail is the window to how we view our faith and trust. So if that view is focused on the past, then we're going to struggle on visualizing the future, because visualizing the future is really important in order to be able to bring dreams to us, right? So maybe there's some struggle there for you because there's a lot of focus on that past. If there's not struggle for you on the vision for your future, then I recommend doing sitz baths with your toes, putting, some salts, some essential oils into a nice little, foot bath, and soaking your feet, and then literally lifting your foot up onto your lap and massaging that baby toe and just kind of manhandling it, in the sense that you want to create less rigidity in the emotion behind it. And even while you're doing that, Rhiannon, one of the things that you can do is kind of have this mantra of everything's going to be okay. Everything's working out exactly perfect for me. Everything's always coming my way. I always have everything that I need. I always have everything that I want. And as I want more, the universe is bringing me more. Does that feel like it resonates with you? So I think that that's the best course of action to take in order to change the direction of a toenail, is just to have both the mindset and the physical behavior of moving the toe to the way that you want it to show up, and reinforcing that with your belief systems being the way that you want to be them, right? So as I started to massage the toe, I immediately got a foot cramp. Okay. So that's good, actually, because that's your foot literally saying, I'm too stuck. I don't want to change. This is way too comfortable for me. It's kind of like, the 2-year-old, 3-year-old toddler throwing a tantrum, and it goes, I can just imagine the little baby foot on the floor being, no, I'm not going to do it. Nah. So that's kind of where we just have to baby it into the position. I know, right? Total temper tantrum. Our bodies are so clear to us. If we look at them like the babies in our lives, we will treat them so differently than we do, right? Anyway, so give that a try. If it's cramping up, just say everything's, put it back on the floor. Everything's going to be okay, but I am going to work on you. I am working on you, in fact, because going to work on you puts it out in the future, right? So as I work on you, you are going to feel safe. You are going to feel pampered. You're going to feel supported. Those are the kind of things that we want to tell our little toes as we try to adjust some of the thought processes that go through our mind, especially around faith and trust. It's a challenging subject, or it can be a challenging subject. I know you know the EFT technique, and so I highly, highly recommend visiting the EFT technique in order to kind of go down the rabbit hole and get to the source of where that emotional block is for you around it. And if you know it for a fact, direct message me, private message me, and I'll do a little a quick little EFT thing for you intuitively, so that we can get you on your way, because it is time. Let's do this. All right. Thank you so much for being here tonight. It has been a true pleasure to interact, and that sounds wonderful. I look forward to seeing that message. All right, you guys, mwah, thank you for being here. I'll catch you next Tuesday for ToesDay. Yay! Bye for now.